First of all, for the purpose of discussing the issue of exclusively and wholly Savarna issue, we should first of all have a clear understanding of the philosophy of reservation, which according to Dr. Mohan Gopal sir, there is a deep ignorance on the part of courts as well as in the society. By the philosophy of reservation, we mean a philosophical examination of the rationale of reservation or addressing some basic questions like what is a reservation, why should there be reservation, who are entitled to reservation, by whom it is to be given, what are the consequences of its acceptance or denial, etc. Now, we all know that the fourfold objective of uh, constitution is to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Yeah, what is meant by justice? What is justice? Even though there are various theories about the finer aspects, the accepted general definition of justice, distributive justice, even from the time of Greek philosophers like Plato, is render to each his due. Now the question arises as to what is the due share of the historically excluded, discriminated, and oppressed, untouchable, broken, Dalit masses in India. In the words of Dr. Mohan Gopal sir, how the lost opportunities can be restored to them, the question. In the fairness of things naturally, the due share to them shall be a proportionate share on the basis of population. Now the question is, how can it be ensured that they get their due share of the social goods? Is reservation just solution for the problem? While teaching classical utilitarianism in my classes, I usually take reservation as an example. I will ask the students, are you in favor of or against reservation system in India? The students answer differently. I will then require them to find out whether reservation is justifiable by applying the hedonistic calculus. Hedonistic calculus means balancing the good consequences against evil consequences, taking into account the factors affecting sensibility. According to Bentham, every human action is morally valuable insofar as it results in happiness. Happiness is a technical term which means surplus of pleasure over pain. Every human action produces certain pleasurable consequences which are good and certain painful consequences which are evil. And balancing this, the good consequences against bad consequences is what is called the hedonistic calculus. So far as reservation is concerned, in favor of the backward classes is concerned, it can be easily shown that the good consequences far outweigh the evil consequences, and that reservation is a social necessity for rendering their due share. So, this is what I usually do in my classes. Even applying other modern theories of justice also, including the theory of compassion, which Dr. Mohan Gopal sir is proposing, we can prove that reservation or restoration, according to him, in favor of the hitherto untouchables is a social necessity in the Indian context. Now, it is since it is not our specific topic today, I don't want to go deeper into it. I would like to press the point that it should be our foremost responsibility as organic intellectuals in the Gramscian sense to convince the society of the strong philosophical foundation of the reservation system in our constitution. Now, what is the constitutional scheme of reservation in India? To quote, uh, our constitutional vision is that if due to historic marginalization, certain class of people have been placed at a significant disadvantage, then the state must take positive action to remedy that situation until such time that the former victims can enlarge their capabilities and manage without the special protective measures. This is in order to bring about a level playing field. Uh, thus, in our equality code, consisting of Articles 14, 15, and 16, it is not about, it is well settled that it is not about formal equality, but substantive equality. Formal equality is treating unequals equally in a mechanical way. But substantive equality recognizes differences. Positive state action is required in that case for the purpose of bringing equality. So the concept of constitutional substantial equality is well settled now, and it has never been seriously questioned after N.M. Thomas. And in recent years, it has been reaffirmed, even though in the context of Articles 14 and 15 in Navdev Dohar and Joseph Shai. No, I just point present some points regarding this group's consistent view that reservation is a fundamental right. Hello, hello.
We can hear. Yes.
Okay.
We are hearing,
okay.
sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. In Mukesh Kumar versus State of Uttarakhand, decided in February 2020, the Supreme Court held that there is no fundamental right to reservation. And every affirmative action required under Articles 15 or 16 is a subjective satisfaction of the government. What are the reasons for stating that? What are the reasons for holding the view that reservation is a fundamental right? What arguments can be advanced to show that reservation is a fundamental right? I will just point out a few points. Firstly, Article 16(1) guarantees substantive right to equality. This is now well settled. Secondly, Article 16(4) is not an exception to Article 16(1). This is also now well settled. The Thomas Sani principle, from Thomas to Sani, this is well settled, and Article 16(4) is not an exception. And thirdly, if that is the case, Article 16(4) provides for a power coupled with a duty. It is true that the government, as pointed out in Mukesh Kumar case by the Supreme Court, government is not obligated to provide reservation in state services, but empowers, the Constitution empowers the government a discretionary power, confers a discretionary power upon the government to reserve certain posts in favor of the backward classes. Every exercise of discretionary power must not be arbitrary and must be guided by certain principles. And what are those guiding principles? Those guiding principles can be found in Article 46, which Honorable Justice Isaiah just read out. Article 46 provides for certain proactive action in favor of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and it mandates the state to protect them from social injustice and all form of exploitation. So, reading these together, the discretionary power granted under Article 16(4) is to be exercised according to the principles, guided by the principles of state policy contained under Article 46. This is again clear by Article 37, which declares that the state is bound to give effect to the directive principles in lawmaking. So there is a duty cast upon the government to give effect to the guarantee under Article 16(4). And the next two conditions are self-explanatory. If there is a duty, there should be a corresponding right. And if there is a corresponding right which is under Part 3, it's a fundamental right. So my argument is that through these 5 points, I think we can establish that it is clear that the right to reservation is a fundamental right. Now, coming to EWS reservation, The present position is that, as already explained, the 103rd Amendment to the Constitution has empowered the state to provide up to 10% reservation for EWs other than SC, ST, and OBC in NCL. This will be over and above the 50% cap. The question now is whether EWS reservation is justifiable within the constitutional scheme of reservations. As already explained, classification is permissible under the Equality Code, and it is necessary also. But there can be two types of errors in any classification. Using statistical terms, the errors are type 1 error, which is false positive error, and the type 2 error, which is false negative error. The type 1 false positive error is a wrongful inclusion of undeserving groups. Type 2 error is a wrongful exclusion of deserving groups. Type 1 is false positive error, which is possible in the case of any classification. Type 2 error is also possible in a classification, which is false negative error, that is wrongful exclusion of deserving groups. My point is that it can be clearly shown that there are both these errors present in the EWS 103rd Amendment. Type 1 false positive error and type 2 false negative error from a constitutional perspective. Type 1 error is by wrongly including EWS in the group entitled to reservation, and wrongly excluding SC, ST, OBC, NCL. But now, how can this be substantiated? What are the reasons for saying that economically weaker sections of Savarnas are wrongly included and SC, ST, OBC, and NCL are wrongly excluded? What are the reasons for saying that? I will just point out some points. Firstly, reservations cannot be based solely on economic criteria. This was held by the Supreme Court in Indraswamy itself. Mere poverty cannot be the test of backwardness. In fact, according to the philosophical, from a philosophical point of view, reservation is about compensating for social and institutional barriers to representation, and it is not a solution or for the problem of poverty. It is a case, as Dr. Mongo also pointed out, it is a problem of restoring back what has been lost to the marginalized sections of the community. Secondly, as has already been pointed out, economic criterion is in fact a fluctuating criterion that has already been explained. In fact, Mandal Commission developed and applied 11 criteria in all, categorized in three broad categories: social criteria, educational criteria, and economic criteria. Economic criteria alone cannot be the sole criterion for reservation. The third aspect is also has also been discussed. That is the difference between individuals and groups. The 103rd Amendment advances a philosophy of reservation that focuses on remedying individual disadvantages by using the expression family income. But this makes Articles 15 and 16 internally contradictory, because the rest of the sections provide for class, and this is on individualistic basis, which is internal contradiction. There is internal contradiction. Another point is, the fourth point is indirect admission of the fact that these Savarnas, EWs, exclusive and holy Savarnas, are not educationally backward and not inadequately represented, because there is no such a requirement in, as earlier pointed out, in Article 16.6, but there is such a condition in Article 16.4. Now, in the objects and reasons for this 103rd Amendment, it is stated that it is to fulfill the mandate of Article 46. I can understand how the weaker sections of the people can be so widely interpreted as to include advanced classes or forward Hindu castes. Applying the Yajusdam, if we apply the Yajusdam generis principle, the other terms used for the purpose of interpreting a general word, it should be in the light of the other words used, which are scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So there is no possibility for interpreting Article 46 in that way. There is another problem, which is equating unequals. That has already been discussed, and backward classes and economically weaker sections of the forward classes are not equals, they are unequals. And a very important point, so far as I am concerned, is the ceiling limit of rupees 8 lakhs. The ceiling limit of rupees 8 lakhs is fixed both for determining economic backwardness of the EWS and for fixing the limit for determining creamy layer. So what happens is that for the purpose of getting reservation, a backward class person should qualify both conditions, three conditions. First, he should be below rupees 8 lakhs. He should be backward, educationally backward, and socially backward. So social educational backward plus below 8 lakhs rupees is necessary for a BC, whereas in the case of a forward caste member, the only condition is that he should be below rupees 8 lakhs. So this is a grave injustice. And another point is a wrong inclusion by exceeding the 50% cap, which has already been discussed here. So these are the first type of error, and the second error is exclusion of the SCs, STs, and OBC NCLs. This exclusion of these persons from 10% seats is also unconstitutional, as it violates their fundamental right to equality. Now, what is the remedy? The only remedy now available is to challenge the constitutional amendment on the ground of violation of the basic structure. So we should now prove before the court that the right to equality, which is part of the basic structure of the Constitution, has been violated. What about the tenability of the basic structure challenge? Regarding the tenability, I think in Nagaraj decision 2006, the Supreme Court introduced two tests to be satisfied for a successful basic structure challenge, namely the width test and the identity test, which is known to all of you. The question is, can the 103rd Amendment pass these tests? The matter is now pending before the Honorable Supreme Court, before the Constitution bench, and it is felt that the EWS reservation issue is liable to be struck down because of the reasons that violation of the 50% rule. In the Maratha judgment also, it has been reaffirmed that equality is a part of the basic structure, and the 50% rule is integral to equality. That has already been settled in Sawani and now reaffirmed in Maratha. So exceeding the limit is a violation of the basic structure, one thing. Secondly, the width test required in Nagaraj case requires two conditions for a reservation. Firstly, backwardness, and secondly, no adequate representation in the service under the state. Here, the second aspect is not fulfilled in the case of EWS, and that is the width test proposed in Nagaraj's decision is not satisfied in the case of 103rd Amendment. And thirdly, the the arbitrariness, there is potential arbitrariness. The 100, if implemented, it may cause arbitrariness in the sense that the criterion, economic criterion is, as already stated, transient, it is changing, and there is possibility. And lastly, all the type 1 and type 2 errors I have already mentioned violate the basic structure of equality enshrined in the Constitution. With these words, I think I can conclude. I feel that we are now in a now or never situation, and what is required is not equality of opportunity, but equality of outcome. Equality of opportunity provides in a sense that all start the race at the same time, but equality of outcome attempts to ensure that everyone finishes at the same time. Thank you for giving me this great opportunity. Thank you, sir.